Good morning, Coffee Crew! Welcome to the morning show where we discuss all things Magic. Get your questions fired up. Let's have a great discussion this morning. Also, we do Decklist reviews, so if you got a 75 you'd like some feedback on, hey, submit it to us, and both myself and the Coffee Crew would love to give some feedback. So brew up those coffees. Let's brew up some Magic this morning. Welcome to Coffee and MTG for August 2nd, 2021. I am your host, Nikachu, the Merfolk Master. Good morning. Good morning, all of you. ZG Walter, Michael Johnson, Fraser T, Marif King, Dan W, Rasab Dasa. Good morning, Ben, James, New York Gyrant, and Mikey J. Well, good morning, everyone. I don't know what the hot news is lately. There's nothing like really newsworthy. It's just like they're throwing out the historic Modern Horizons 2 Jumpstart spoilers, which aren't really spoilers, right? We know Modern Horizons 1 cards. We know the Modern Horizons 2 cards. I guess the real question is, what are they not printing? They're probably Hogak is not coming, you know what I mean? So there might be some limits on what they print from Modern Horizons 1 and Modern Horizons 2, but for the most part, we have some really good idea of what to expect. Good morning, Jackson. Good morning, K Wicks, Gold, Tyler, Victor, Jackson, Scott, Leaf, Ugly Hood Rat, Gustavo, David, Cherry Waves, Rick. Do I get you, Cherry Waves? Cherry Waves. Yeah, good morning, everybody. All right, before we start the show off, I want to, of course, thank our sponsors. Do you have ever heard of sponsors? Have you ever heard of FusionGamingOnline.com? Oh, look at this. Save 15% off all Jumpstart singles and sealed product. Amazing. So if you are a fan of Jumpstart, I heard it's really good for starting people off, getting into Magic the Gathering would make an excellent gift. To that friend that it's interested into the game, you can now get 15% off all Jumpstart singles and sealed product at FusionGamingOnline.com. And if 15% is not enough for you, don't worry, you can get an extra 5% off when using coupon code Nikachu at checkout. Supports the channel and saves you money. Win-win situation. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. Play any deck, any format, anytime on Magic Online. You don't need to buy into any particular deck. You're wondering so hard, do I buy into the Shadow deck or do I buy into the Mono Red Prowess deck? Now you don't have to make that decision anymore because you have all decks access to you through renting cards with Mana Traders. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below or save 15% off your first 2 months using coupon code Nikachu. All right, you know the drill. 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks after the question helps me find your questions amongst all the comments I'm getting on 2 YouTube channels and a Facebook fan page. And to start the races off, we've got Victor. News that 5-color elementals won the showcase challenge. Oh, is that the case? We might have to cover that tomorrow when the deck lists get submitted and published. Usually they're not available by Monday. By Monday, we might have Saturday, or unless it was on Saturday. Let's see, hold on. Magic Gathering Online deck lists. Let's take a look. What do we got here? I don't... Oh, we got something. We got something! Coffee Crew, Modern Showcase Challenge. Congratulations to... I don't know, they're not showing the finals here. I heard there was a... Was there a split? I'm not sure. Boom! First place, Dirk714 on the Elementals. How does Dirk want to play this deck? We got 1 Endurance in the main deck. Hey, you can tutor for that thing easily with the, what's it called? The Flamekin Harbinger. 3 Fury, a Lightning Skelemental, Omnath Locus of Creation, 1 Locus of Royal, 4 Risen Reef, 4 Solitude, a Spite Bellows. I hate Spite Bellows. So painful to play against. Tangled, Florahedron. What is this? Oh, it's just a Mana Dork. Thunderkin Awakener. Oh my god. This is more of a janky version of Elementals in my opinion. I always find this card's a bit janky because if your opponent's not interacting with you, it's awesome. But if they're interacting with you, I guess you could wait till your opponent's tapped out and then you go boom, Thunderkin Awakener, you to death. Because you can bring back things like Lightning Skelemental. Anyway, I always found it a little Generally speaking, the jankier builds of Elementals always played this card, in my opinion. But maybe this is the way to do it. Or maybe there's a more strategic way of playing Thunderkin Awakener. Of course, the 4 Ephemerate. Yeah, so we got Elementals on top, moving up the ranks. Definitely one of the decks you have to beat right now in Modern. Super hot deck. Oh, this is card for card your list? Someone learned something from you, Scrub and Scrubs. What happened in second place? What is going on here? Is this 4-color control? Indomitable, create hard evidence. What is this? Destroy X, whatever. Its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal an artifact or creature card. Those players put the exiled cards onto the battlefield. What are you putting onto the battle? Oh, we have one Emrakul. I see. Interesting. Awaker and Vesperlark just helps keep the Reef in play. Oh, that's neat. That's an interesting thing. Yeah, you get Risen Reef. You still get Risen Reef in play when you use Thunderkin Awakener. We have to sacrifice it, but I guess it's good value anyway. Anywho, this is not like a new style of deck. I mean, these polymorph decks have existed for a very long time. I'm just surprised that someone could go so far into a very tough tournament with this list. And so they can, like, how many, like, polymorphs are there? There's like 4 Indomitable Creativity, 2 Harbingers, Nahiris. That's it? I think that's it. You have Hard Evidence and also the Dwarven Mind to create random creatures. Oh, I guess Shark Typhoon as well. Well, congratulations to them. We got, I think, Mardu Ragavan. So we don't know the best Ragavan deck here. These, yeah, Crab and Clue. We don't know the best, like, these Rakdos Ragavan decks have come into the Grixis form. They're now showing up in Mardu form. I don't think people have decided exactly what's the best way of playing that Rakdos shell. Then, of course, Blue-Red Murktide. Pretty stable. This probably is the best deck. Well, sorry, outside of, like, Hammer Time, this is the best deck. Did Hammer Time make the top? Did Hammer Time make the top? We've got another Elementals deck. That's 2 Elementals in the top. Hey, look at that! That's a familiar sight to see. A good old Burn. Look at that. Good old Burn. Making the top 8 in this Modern Showcase Challenge. Thunder Striker is playing the Black-Red Ragavan deck. And then 3 Elemental decks. This is the 3rd Elemental deck in this top 8. Everyone, give Elementals... Oh man, this is not good because my current build of Merfolk can't do shit against this deck. I'm just stoned out against this Elemental nonsense. I just can't compete. It's over, people. It's over. The Elementals have taken over. The Elementals. It's all over. Oh, anyway. So yeah, Elementals not only won first place in the Modern Showcase Challenge, but also posted 3 copies and no Hammer Time. Very interesting. Okay, Mikey J, lore question. Which Merfolk has the most material wealth? I'm either on Merfolk Sovereign or Kamena because I'd like to think Svelund would be above such materialistic matters. I have no idea. I do know that Thassa is very attached to her trident. I'm not really a flavor judge in this case. I don't know who the Jeff Bezos is of the Merfolk. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Saprazan Merfolk. Or Saprazan something. Hold on. Whew. This might be the richest Merfolk. She doesn't even look like much of a Merfolk. She looks like she's the sister of the Blue Man group. Whenever Saprazan heir becomes blocked, you may draw 3 cards. She is the heir to a bunch of stuff. This is it. I've solved it, people. I've solved the richest Merfolk. Jackson, what do you see as the weakness of the current meta in Modern? In theory, things should be getting blown up by Chalice of the Void, but the problem is that every deck weak to Chalice has like really good answers to Chalice. So the Cascade decks have like access to this. I think it's an elemental that like you can evoke it in play, and it like destroys artifacts and create artifacts and enchantments, and it's like 4 mana or something like that. But these decks all have answers to Chalice, like Prismatic Ending and Seal of Cleansing, and you know, just artifact destruction. It's hard to tell if Chalice can actually punish all these really lean decks. Yeah, some lists are up. Think Wizards will bring back the Pro Tour. Also love the Banjo-Kazooie music. Thank you very much, Richard. Yes, they will bring back the Pro Tour, 100%. It may not be called the Pro Tour. Hopefully they do. Hopefully they bring back the Pro Tour and they call it the Pro Tour, but there's no guarantees on that. They will have some sort of high-level events, big prizes that you could play in. It's just that if you want to be a pro, that's up to you. Wizards ain't going to pay your way to events and not give you entry fees and crap like that, or appearance fees. Dr. Glassbottle, is there a way that Infect could come back into the meta? Yes, it's just tough. It's just tough for them. I want to say that I saw something for Infect that was good, but can't tell you at the moment. But like, there's always a chance it can come back because it is a really powerful deck. It would help. One thing that could help Infect a lot right now is if their good matchups came back. You know, they want to see some ad nauseum in the metagame. They want to see mono green Tron, but you know, that's not really the case at the moment. Canister ran it as well to a 7-2. Yeah, he's made several top 8s, and he had also got a victory in a Modern challenge with Elementals, so that's exactly why he would play it. Where's Merfolk pack Wizards? I'm not sure what that means. Gustavo, Wizards is power down standard as it seems. How do you feel about less cards entering the Modern metagame? You know, I don't it probably doesn't matter. Okay, so they powered down standard for one set. We don't even know if this is going to be consistent long term. Yeah, the Dungeons and Dragons set didn't do anything. But like, truth be told, like, we just went through Modern Horizons. The metagame has not even fully settled since Modern Horizons got printed. We're still waiting to see how this whole metagame shakes out. So, I mean, we got completely rocked by Modern Horizons 2. In a good way, in a lot of ways. It's not Hogak, you know, there's still like 40 decks out there. But, you know, we still got a big shakeup. It's a huge shakeup. So the fact that they are powering down standard doesn't seem to matter because they keep printing cards directly into Modern. That creativity deck beat Yendrix Blue Black Red Control for a top 8. Well, congratulations to the creativity deck. That is also unusual, because the control should beat that deck, in my opinion. New York Gyrant, 52-man 2K Satellite went to 70-man, cut to top 8 was 2 Red Black Wurza Burn Teamer Esper Control Twitter Storm. Oh yeah, with Brian Cook. Brian Cook is a huge proponent of the new Twiddle Storm deck and Blue-Red Murktide. Elixi's thoughts? Nothing. I have no thoughts. I mean, whatever. It's a random metagame. It's a random 70 people in some random place. Well, my only thought is that, so a lot of people are asking, where's Storm? Is Storm playable right now? And the answer, it seems to be no. Like, it's struggling hard. Like, it's having huge trouble trying to compete. We're talking Gift Storm. But Brian Cook is coming out and saying Twiddle Storm. Twiddle Storm's the way to do it. You want to play Storm, you gotta play Twiddle. You gotta do this tap or untap target artifact, creature, or land thing. And then you play with Lotus Petals, and then all of a sudden you're generating tons of mana, then you're drawing through tons of your deck, and then before you know it, you've won the game. So Twiddle Storm might be the way to take Storm in 2021 and beyond. So just a heads up to the Storm players out there. If you want to play Storm, the closest thing you're probably going to get is Twiddle Storm. You got Brian Cook on it, all right? Brian Cook is on the case. Dan W, with elementals really taking off, should fish players or anyone really consider torpor orb effects as a means to combat them? Yeah, you could do that. That's definitely a line of definitely a line to take. The Emerald Boy, opinions on Minotaur Didgeridoo Saga went 5-0 in Legacy League. You know how many times some random dumb deck went 5-0 in Legacy? Like, what happened to that Humans deck that played Rick? It's gone. It got that 5-0 and then disappeared. So I don't really care. It's not a big deal. Maybe sell your Didgeridoos into the hype, and then when the hype dies down, buy them back. What the hell is Didgeridoo's on the reserve list, I believe. MTG stocks. Where does Didgeridoo lie? How expensive are Didgeridoos? Oh, look at that crash. Oh, it got pumped, and then it got dumped. The old pump and dump. It's how much people believe in Minotaur Tribal in the distant future. This is a powerful card, though. It's like an Ether Vial. Except you pay 3 mana, you just put the stuff directly in play. And it could be a big creature, it could be a 4 or 5, 6, 7 mana Minotaur. The day that they come out with like a Minotaur set, this is gonna go straight to like $400. Straight to $400. Gift Storm or Life. Should you trade in your G-Tron for Hardened Scales? I don't think one deck is particularly better than the other at the moment. Well, I mean, Hardened Scales is better than G-Tron at the moment, but, like, it's a very different deck. I mean, you could do it if you want to. Maybe Rudy was... Well, this was just, like, this is just the pandemic reserve list hype spending. I mean, everything skyrocketed during the pandemic. They got them COVID checks. Gotta spend that money somewhere. Gonna spend it on Didgeridoo. Bring in those Minotaurs. The Didgeridoo. Can Sedgemoor Witch from Strixhaven in an Aristocrats style deck be competitive in Modern? I imagine it can. I think it's possible. The card is pretty serious. It's affordable at 3 mana, so it's not like ridiculous. It's got Menace. It's got like it has some decent protection, and the Magecraft I think is pretty good. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 black. And I mean, it's like I don't want to say it's like better than Monastery Mentor, but in the right deck, this might be good. It's not pathetic. I see potential in it. Tyler Roberts, what are the weakest and least played colors in Modern? What would it take to get them more play? Weakest is red and white, I think. Those are the weakest colors in Modern for the most part. The only way you see red and white see play is that you're splashing other colors to make them work. That's basically how it is, in my opinion. Like a red deck generally. I mean, it's funny. We do have mono red prowess now. I mean, can I say red anymore? Maybe not. Maybe I should say blue and white. Maybe that's... What do you guys think? What do you think are the weakest colors in Modern? What do you guys think are the weakest colors? I'd like to say red is like not doing so hot anymore, but you know what? Red is actually hot. We have like mono red prowess decks. We have blue red prowess. You'd have to... I basically would say the splash in these is it tempo decks are the blue, not the red. Black is the worst. We got some people on black. We have some people on white. Well, no. Well, I'm just saying. I mean, yeah. If you go mono, but like in general, what color is the weakest? Blue is worse. Control is dead. Well, yeah, but blue is not seen in just control decks. Dr. Unicorn's there in the far distant corner. by themselves, announcing green. Yeah, red just got a huge boost. Usually red was a support color. Like, you splashed red for lightning bolt in a deck. But now there's enough red cards that, I mean, they just make it themselves. White have the hammer and stone fort and STF. I don't know what the STF decks are. You think green is a weak color right now? But I mean, the answer to all this is that if you want to make the color better, you just have to like pair it up with something else. It's funny, not many people are mentioning blue. Like, how many blue decks are there right now in the metagame? Let's go take a look. Like, solid blue decks. Okay, no blue. Some blue. Oh, there's actually a lot of blue in the Crashing Footfall decks. Plenty of blue, blue. Okay, actually, we gotta take it back. Look, it's all blue. Blue, 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 blue. I retract my statement completely. I refuted myself. I don't know if green is so bad. Like, is green so bad? You have green in the Crashing Footfall decks, the Elemental decks. It's a really big player in the Living End deck. I mean, it's everything in Amulet. I don't think it's doing too bad. By the looks of it, the weakest color seems to be white. It's seeing like legit no, like you can't say white is doing great because of Hammer Time, but white is just not seeing that much play anywhere else. Or it's very, I don't know. It changes, you know what? It changes. It comes and goes. Blue is everywhere. Yeah, blue is everywhere. All right, that was a good discussion. Is the 3-color strategy the way to be right now? It's not bad. I mean, there is one Blood Moon deck in the metagame, and that is the Is-a Tempo deck. So for the most part, you are not badly punished for playing a 3-color strategy because you're not going to get hit by Blood Moon so much. So going 3 colors or more is paying off. I mean, look at what Elementals is doing. Look at this 5-color Elemental deck. They don't even play Ether Vial. They just don't care. They're like, come at me with your Blood Moon, bro. Come at me with your Blood Moon. Like this, I mean, this is a greedy deck. I mean, well, okay, maybe it's not too greedy because you can play the stuff for free anyway. So Blood Moon actually isn't as effective as I just originally thought. But then you force your opponent to 2-for-1 themselves over and over and over and over again. Like, these are still greedy mana bases. This is a greedy mana base. You look at the Crashing Footfall deck. This is also a pretty greedy mana base. Same thing with Living End. We got some greed here. We got some greed creeping up. Not enough Blood Moons to punish them, so 3 colors is okay. Do you think Urza Saga can help Pox or 8-Rack in Modern? I think it can help 8-Rack. You know what? I think it can. I don't know about Pox, because it's another colorless land, and that's annoying for them, but I think it can help 8-Rack. I think it's a good idea. It can help find those racks, and also present... And it, like, the thing that helps it a lot, too, is it can present bodies on the battlefield to help block, or even attack. Came here for the MTG, stayed for the Banjo-Kazooie. Well, we also have Mario Kart as well. I'm going to increase my library. I was just scouting out Donkey Kong Country music. See what would be acceptable. Honestly, there wasn't a lot of good stuff in there. You know, the music's good, but it's like... It's just more... It's better for when you're playing a video game. Where's Heliod? It's gone! What does Ragavan or Elementals do against Infinite Life? Just need to worry about Hammer and Infect. Well, Elementals has a lot of interaction to kill off your creatures in response to your combo. And also, Ragavan... Well, the Ragavan deck has just a lot of interaction. They've got the counter spells, they have removal spells. But anyway, Heliod... Well, Heliod can't beat Infect coming from Hammer. So yeah, you can have infinite life, and they'll be like, okay, play a hammer on an Inkmoth Nexus, kill you. GG's! Also, I'm sure Living End is a beating for them as well. Wipe all your creatures away. What are you going to do about that? David M. Corbin, what's the best I could expect to do with Affinity in the current meta? I went 1-3 at my first F&M. I think it's maybe a tier 2 deck. It is a tier 2 deck. You could expect to go 4-0. I think Affinity clearly has enough power to compete in the modern metagame. You could reasonably expect to go 2-2 pretty often, 3-1 sometimes, and then once in a while you go 4-0. So it has enough speed and grind to it that you could expect to do well. It's a good F&M deck. You'll do fine. Just learn the format. Get better at it. And the one advantage is people aren't bringing in that much like super hardcore artifact hate, except for maybe Force of Vigor. Dave, at T-minus 8 days until Historic Brawl on Arena. Jumpstart Historic Horizons hype. I don't feel the hype, because I know the cards. I know the cards that are coming out, you know? The real question is, what cards are they not printing from Modern Horizons and Modern Horizons 2? That's the question. What happened to Oops All Spells? Simeon's Spirit Guide got banned, and then they didn't believe in the deck anymore. That's what happened. Sedgemoor Witch is doing something in Legacy since you can Dark Ritual. Wow, Dark Ritual, Sedgemoor Witch, turn 1? This is like classic Magic. With Historic Horizons coming out soon, are you going to dabble with Historic Fish more? No, probably not. I'll do a little bit. I mean, I gotta play Svelune. You know, we gotta try out Svelune in that new environment. But I don't expect to do binge a lot of Historic. Casper Soul says, I'm considering selling my collector edition Mox Ruby to buy as many fetch lands as possible, like Karns, Misties, and Catacombs. Your opinion? I wouldn't do it. You know what? That collector's edition Mox Ruby is as good as a reserve list card. It's treated that way, at least. So this thing is going to continue to go up in money. People do want it. It's like $640. But I'll tell you this much: the fetch lands are going to be flat in value for eternity. But one day, we're saying 10 years from now, this collector's edition Mox Ruby will be like $3,000, and you'll be like, oh, why did I sell this thing for just a few fetch lands? What? I owned the card. I owned that card. Don't do it. In my opinion, don't do it. Sell other things to get those fetch lands. I have a feeling you got, if you own a collector's edition Mox Ruby, you got other cards that you don't use. I know you don't use the Mox Ruby, but like we know that one's going to continue to go up. The pointy corners. We got G-Bus Christ. Don't sell. Don't do it. Yeah, it's just that, yeah, I think you would regret selling that. And that's the truth. You're going to regret it down the line. Like, it looks like a fair trade today. But I mean, like, Wizards, in theory, could ban the fetch lands, and then they're unusable 10 years from now. And you're like, oh, why didn't I keep the Mox Ruby? Why didn't I keep the Mox Ruby? Or the most popular format. Maybe like one day Pioneer becomes more popular than Modern somehow. I don't know how that happens. Well, I wouldn't suggest selling the organs. We've got to keep the organs. I think that's a little bit more valuable than the Mox Ruby. Mikey J's like, sell it to me. Then Vaprask, we got to whoever who was looking at selling that Mox Ruby. I work at a shop. Don't do it. You will get ripped off. You hear that? Don't do it. So I think you got the voice. You heard enough voices here. You hold. Diamond Hands. Diamond Hands the Mox Ruby. Even if it's collector edition. Fuck it. You keep this thing. Diamond Hands. Yeah, we got no sell. Yeah, or Ruby Hands. If you want to know the weakest color, look at the ban list. Yeah, we got like one white card banned. Well, that's not to say that's the weakest color. That just means it's the most balanced color. And the other colors are unbalanced. Kellen Alexander, I'm surprised that outside of Hammer, there's next to no artifact decks, despite Modern Horizons 2 pushing artifact synergies hard. Well, partially because that one artifact deck is like the artifact deck. Like, why do you play Affinity when you can play Hammer Time? Like, the competitive players will look at it like that. But there are people playing artifact decks. I mean, we just have someone who's playing Affinity in their local game store, and they absolutely can do that. They absolutely can play it. Definitely playable. Canister says that Blood Moon is a killer? Probably. Like I said, the mana bases right now are very greedy, and there's just not enough Blood Moon decks out there to punish them. What does greedy mean? Does it mean weak to hate, or just lots of colors? It's playing extra colors for more power, but leaving you more vulnerable to land hate like Blood Moon. That's what it means by greedy. It's like, okay, so if you're monocolored, you're not greedy at all. You're not going to get affected by Blood Moon. Then you go to 2 colors. Now you're getting a little bit more greedy. If your opponent plays Blood Moon, you could get locked out some number of games. Then you're like, well, I want to go to the 3rd color. I take more damage. I'm more vulnerable to Blood Moon. You know, but in exchange, you get more. You want more power. You're more greedy for power. Bad press. Nikachu, how are you doing this morning? I'm doing great. I hope you guys are all doing very great. Great as well. What do you think about Yogg combo in Modern right now? Fringe deck, underrated but playable. That's what I think. Do you think Invisible Stalker is a decent metagame call for Stoneblade at the moment? No, not really. I really don't believe in Invisible Stalker in a Stoneblade deck. I do believe in Invisible Stalker in like a Bogles-like deck, but I don't believe it in Stoneblade. I think the unblockable aspect of it is not necessary. You can do quite fine with just like Cauldron Complete with Trample. No problem. Do you still think Glimpse of Nature should be unbanned? Yes. Yeah, I do. It will create some turn 2 kills from elves against decks that have 0 removal, but like, how many decks are like that these days? Best way around the blue-red Murktide is it Blitz deck? Well, they're not the same. So Murktide is vulnerable to Chalice in game 1, and also they're quite vulnerable to Graveyard Hate, because that Graveyard Hate prevents them from playing Murktide and also makes their Dragon Rage Channeler very small, and if it's very small, then they can't do anything. Whereas the Blitz deck, Graveyard Hate is ineffective. It doesn't do anything. They don't rely on their graveyard at all. Hardly at all. They just have Dragon Rage Channeler, but they can just kill you with the Prowse creatures. Zachary says, I sold my Guy's Cradle for $100. Then they changed the legend. Oh no! Oh no! Then they changed the legendary rules and it's worth $1,100. Kick myself every day. Guy's Cradle. Yeah, Guy's Cradle was not a commander staple when the old legendary rule existed. Because if anyone played another Cradle, it would like blow up, right? So it's like but now that like everyone can have their own legendary permanent, everyone wants a Cradle. When was that? I think they announced it around. Yeah, it was here. This was Theros. This is when they changed the legendary rule. That's the first boost. This is just all commander. We don't use Guy's. Oh my god! To the moon! To the moon with Guy's Cradle. Sorry for your loss. That is F's in chat for sure. Do we hold on revised Badlands or sell playset for 1900? If you want my... Okay, look, I have, like, all the revised dual lands because a long time ago, like, I started getting into Legacy before Theros, and I could see... Like, even back then, you could clearly see that this graph just goes up. And it was like that even way, way, way back then. Like, the prices were like $30 and they all rose up to $100. There's no reason I'm ever selling the cards. Unless I, like, somehow I'm faced with a giant debt and I really need to pay it all off. If you don't need the money, you don't sell these things. That's my opinion. Look, it just keeps going up. Look at, like, let's look at what Badlands. See? Where is it now? It's like $500. So those legacy players back then that bombed for like $50, you just 10x'd it. There's like no reason to sell the damn thing. I just hold. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but I'm holding on to all my legacy staples. Yeah, lesson, always hold the lands. But at what point do you take profit and sell cards? When you need the money. That's the answer. Sort of the cash is trash strategy. What earns more money, the card or the cash? Cash doesn't earn anything. So the correct answer is when you need the money. If you don't, you don't. Waiting for the prices to go up wouldn't mean keeping the cards forever? Yes, technically. I could die with these cards. Yeah, cash earns negative money because of inflation. So like, and you know, a lot of people are like, oh, why can't I have stuff like this? Well, you had it and then you fucking sold it, you know? So the question is, do you ever believe that this card will go down or crash? And frankly, I'm willing to take that risk. I don't really think it is gonna go down all that much. Or if it does, I think it has a better like whatever. I'm willing to die with these cards. I'm willing to die with these cards. Here we got Spencer Ward. Cash loses about 3.5% a year on average. And in this economy, maybe worse than that. Sell into the hype. I mean, I don't know what the strategy is. Like, if you're a super active trader, maybe you can make that work. Because, like, the reserve list cards have spiked many times, then crashed down to, like, 25, 35% of its value. Like, what's Underground Sea? So maybe some really active traders in MTG have been able to sell into the hype at the peak and then buy back on the dip. But like, I'd be so terrified that it doesn't actually dip. Like, this happened with Gilded Drake. Like, here, people thought like it would crash. Like, it was a big spike. You see this big spike? It went from $80 to 260, and people were like, oh, it's gonna go down. Oh no, we're going back up to 450. What is it around now? It's like close to $400 now. And that can happen. That can happen too. Only sell an asset when you need money or have a plan on how to use the money. I like that strategy. Outside of that, you just hold on to the asset. Like, what were you supposed to do with this thing? Buy something else, right? It's become Nikachu, the finance channel. Arvel asks, hey Nikachu, do you think it's possible to build a competitive deck around General First Rhetoric? It's called Niv to Light. Look up Niv to Light decks. They aren't the most flashy right now, but they are playing with that card because it's a multicolored deck already. Maybe I can find one. Maybe I can find one for you. Shit, I gotta go far down. Okay, this is stupid. I can't be this. It can't be this far down. But there's... Where's the Niv to Light deck? Am I missing it? Oh, here it is. Niv to Light. And they're playing the general guy. Because, like, all the cards in the deck are multicolored, right? So it's like a pretty good win condition, in addition to using your removal. So this would be, I would say, the best deck. And you could, and if you really want, if you love the card, you can just load your deck with it. You can play 4 of them if you want. And apparently Doomwake has a Domain Zoo deck with it. Yeah, Domain Zoo is also playing with this card. Staying on the economy side, what would be worth to buy lots of right now? I'm gonna leave that to everybody else. I'm definitely not offering advice on this thing. Most people, I'm not gonna say it myself, but most people would say it's the safe bet are reserve list cards, but maybe there's something else that's spicy in the economy that's worth getting. Maybe there's like some special promo that people aren't really talking about. Buy Tidebinder Mage. Hey, I'm buying again. I'm buying this card. So if we go to Tidebinder Mage, you guys can all leave your answers. And on YouTube, you guys can leave answers too. People finally lost enough hope in Merfolk that the Tidebinder Mage is now 2 to 3 cents on Magic the Gathering Online. So I'm back to buying Tidebinder Mage. I'm going to try to get to 1,000 Tidebinder Mages. Tidebinder Mage to the moon. To the moon. Basically buy what is unlikely to be reprinted. But that's a weird game, Caramel, because what's unlikely to be reprinted goes up in price, and then what goes up in price, Wizards wants to reprint. So that's a tough game to play. It's a very tough game to play. Spencer Ward says the Dark has a ton of room to grow. It's the only 4 Horsemen set to not fly through the roof. It has its fine card to break $100 this year. I wonder what's a Blood Moon from the Dark. OG Blood Moon. The Dark. Ooh, it's not too expensive. It did have a spike, sort of, but no one bought it. It's sitting at about $100 for the OG Blood Moon. I would consider that pretty cheap for an OG card. Any chance Bazaar Trade Mage can be viable in Modern? 100%. Very strong card. Very powerful effect. It doesn't have the right deck yet, though. You think Wizards of the Coast will abolish the reserve list? I don't think so. Not a chance. If they were going to, they would do it 10 years ago. The more time that passes, the worse it gets. We got Richard Bennett. Buy sealed product and sit on it. Well, there's a lot of people who take that strategy. You know what is a pretty entertaining YouTube channel? MTG Moxman. I was watching some of his stuff during, because when the prices of all the reserve list cards were going up, his channel started getting suggested in my feed by quite a bit. He's actually a really nice, entertaining finance channel. And he makes tons of videos, so shout out to MTG Moxman. Here, maybe I can show the thing. He's like a more light, happy version of Rudy, I think. But he talks about a lot of stuff. He's always on the market this, market that. Anyway, shout out to MTG Moxman. Makes a lot of short, concise videos. Sir Butterballs, invest in D&D boxes over the long term will grow better than most stocks. Do you really? Really? But D&D stink. I don't actually. That's actually interesting. Why is that? First off, the constructed cards are garbage, and second off, I heard it's a bad draft set. I mean, it's unique, but it's just grossly unpopular. There's not even anything on the inside that looks like a chase rare. D&D is a storekeeper. No one wants it. I can see one advantage is that if nobody buys it, there will be a massive supply shock on this one set, so I can get that. I can get behind that. But it still is a set that no one wants. We got Spencer Ward here. I'm a patron to MTG Moxman. Great channel. It's Strictly better MTG mixed with alpha investments. That's a good mix. That's a good comparison. It's nice to see that his channel grew by quite a bit. Probably because of no reprint. Yeah, well, yeah, but like, even if there's no reprint, the set still sucks. Yeah, there won't be a reprint. It will be very unique. Oh, I think the classes are good cards for both flavor and gameplay. You know, there might be something to that. So maybe Commander players want those cards. I don't, truth be told, I don't know the effect that D&D has on Commander. So that may be one variable that I'm completely missing on this. Secret Lair for $450? Nobody? The Allied Fetch Lands? Well, how much do boxes of Fallen Empires go for? 1K and it's trash. Yeah, but you have to wait like 20 years for it to like turn like to get that expensive. Or more than 20 years. How old is Fallen Empires? 25 years? Like, it's really old. You'll be dead by the time that like your Dungeons and Dragons box appreciates in value. You'll just be close, you'll be in retirement. Eternal Masters sucked also, and it grew much over time. That is bullshit, actually. It did not suck. Eternal Masters was great. The community feedback to that great set was negative for no reason. It was a very good set. It was a very, very good set. It had great reprints in it. And I didn't understand, like, I understood that at the time, Wizards was like pumping out all these like master sets, and somehow there was like, I don't know, maybe wallet fatigue for master sets, but they were all great sets. Like, I mean, you look at Eternal Masters, it's loaded with great rares, great playable cards, and for some reason, people are like, oh, this sucks. This is garbage. Wizards, you're screwing it all up. And I'm just like, what do you want? Like, what could you possibly want? It was just loaded with gold, and people were pissing on it for some reason. And of course it's gonna go up. It's full of hardcore staples. Eternal Masters was a great set. I don't understand what people's hate were on the Master sets, except for maybe the price was high, but it's still good stuff. Eternal Masters was hated for the wrong reasons. It was a great set. It was just released after the special booster boxes and Secret Lair announcements. It could be a true story. Like, it definitely aged well. I don't know, you know, the MTG community is like Reddit. They'll complain about anything. Just like, you know, here's Wizards, like, here's the set you've always wanted. Ah, this is garbage. So anyway, I think people did not like Eternal Masters because it was not modern legal. Not entirely true. They had a lot of modern legal cards, a lot of modern reprints in there. I mean, Eternal Masters was closer to like a legacy reprint set, but still, it was very expensive cards being reprinted. Nikachu, you seem pretty passionate about defending Eternal Masters. Full disclosure, I do not own any Eternal Masters or Eternal Master cards. But I was there at the time. Like, they came out with like Iconic Master and I think Eternal Masters came out at a very similar time period. And both sets were like not well received. I mean, Iconic Masters was like, it was a bit weird because Iconic Masters wasn't iconic at all, but they called it Iconic Masters, and it was just like, it was just a rare reprint set, which was nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Just, you know, a box full of gold. So, yes, Jace the Mind Sculptor was Eternal Masters. Eternal Masters was a fantastic set, and yes, it was highly pissed on. So of course it's gonna go up. You know what? Maybe it was the people who wanted to invest in the boxes. I hear that happens. They're like, this set sucks. It's garbage. Nobody buy it. It's a dumpster fire set. Nobody touch this thing. And then when the prices went down, all right, let's buy this stuff up. The fools. Oh, those fools. They thought it was garbage, but really, it's amazing. It's possible. You know, it's just like how people like cry about how a stock sucks on a forum, and then the stock goes down and they buy it at a cheaper price, and vice versa. Yeah, the short, well, I don't know about short sellers. But anyway, that was the case. Okay, people. You know what time it is? Decklist review time. So if you got a 75 you'd like to get some feedback on, share with the community, submit it to us by going into the description. Join my Discord. There is a link to my Discord. It's a wonderful Discord. When you're in my Discord, go to the channel Decklist Review. Did I clear this thing last week? I think I cleared it. Yeah, I did. Okay, so go into Decklist Review, and then once you're there, enter the command !review deck space, give the URL to your decklist, and you'll be eligible at random to be chosen for Decklist Review. Gotta go to the Decklist Review channel on my Discord. Were you talking about Masters 25 or Eternal Masters? I'm talking about Eternal Masters. Like, all the Masters sets have been hated for the most part. Like, I don't know, Modern Masters came out as beautiful, and all the other Master sets after that were just some stupid, weird backlash. Overpriced cards, all these reprints are garbage. But then what ends up happening is that the price of all the cards go up anyway. Like, consider how expensive Ether Vial could be if they didn't reprint it at all. And they've reprinted this card now multiple times. It's got so many reprints. Look how expensive it is right now. It's like at 60 bucks. This thing could easily be $200 by now if there were no reprints. Thank God they reprinted it in like Iconic Masters. Thank God it got reprinted in Modern Masters. Without this Iconic Masters reprint, I bet this card easily is 100 bucks right now. $1 million. Alright, let's get into some deck lists. Am I frozen? Am I Discord frozen? Don't let me press enter. Alright, we went through. Black Lotus, the card, now making deck lists. Wouldn't that be interesting if they make a Black Lotus Planeswalker? It simultaneously becomes sentient and also finds its spark. It's getting tired of being cracked for mana. It's gonna crack you for mana. Pathetic Planeswalkers. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy how much cards tripled in price since COVID. Big time. Aztec Guy said, I made some amazing trades just before Master Set spoiled. Word of advice, wait until Master spoilers before making fat trades. There we go. Because you never know what's getting reprinted. That's the problem. You never know what's getting reprinted. Okay, so what do we got here? We got a mono black reanimator. Sweet stuff. We've got 4 grief. You can't target yourself, can only target the opponent. We have got Grave Titan, which is very strong. This is like Primeval Titan and Field of the Dead combined. Sarah's Emissary. Enter the battlefield. Choose a card type. You and creatures you control have protection from the chosen card type. That could be pretty sweet. That's pretty good against elementals, right? So you just play that named creature, and now they have no way of dealing with this after that because their Solitude is a creature. They can't be targeted by creatures. I think they've snap lost once you play this. Archon of Cruelty, Ashen Rider, Inkwell, Leviathan. I have a feeling 1 or 2 of these are unnecessary, but we'll continue. Liliana of the Veil. Nice tech. Tick up Liliana of the Veil. Discard your Grave Titan. I like that. Profane Tutor. Bone Shards. Also, this. You know what? You might be able to go up to 4 of these. That might be more valuable than Liliana of the Veil, because this takes till turn 3 to discard, but this can take. You can do this turn 1 and then reanimate by turn 2 with Persist. This actually might be more important, especially in today's modern metagame where there's creatures all over the place. I would put like some Liliana of the Veil in the sideboard, and then more Bone Shards in the main deck. Is it better to play multiple copies of Archon of Cruelty? Usually it's not necessary because you're just gonna put it in the graveyard with where is it? Do we have it? Unmarked Grave. So it's probably not necessary. So what are all the ways? Oh yeah, we have Profane Tutor to find our Unmarked Grave and our what's it called? The other Unmarked Grave and Persist. So that's good. Bone Shards, Fatal Push, Malakir Rebirth. Choose target creature, you lose 2 life until end of turn that creature gains whenever this creature... Oh, but it's a land. Yeah, I get it. Thoughtseize, Collective Brutality. I would play 2 more Bone Shards over the Liliana the Veil. I think this is just a bit clunky. I think this is a good way to interact with your opponent for cheap and also enable your graveyard strategy. Una's Prowler? I don't think Una's Prowler is that necessary. Is Greer Reach Sanitarium too slow for Reanimator decks? Maybe? What is this card? Not necessarily. I don't think it's too slow. But it's each player draws a card, then discards a card. Bloodghast is too small for this deck. Way too small for this deck. Archon is brutal. Avoid letting that ETB. Oh yeah, well that's why it's in the deck. I think you could play this. Hold on, let's see. You know what? It is a mono black deck. So what do we have for lands? Castle Lothwain, Mishra's Factory, 11 Swamp, 2 Urborg. So I guess what it comes down to is, do they want the Mishra's Factory or do they want like 1 Gear Reach Sanitarium? Well, we are at 25 lands though. That's a lot of lands because this is a land. Interesting. So I don't know what is the best line here. I like Mishra's Factory, but it's not entirely necessary either in a deck like this. Grizzlebrand? Grizzlebrand is better when you have... Well, Grizzlebrand is fine, I guess. It might be better than Inkwell Leviathan. And there's like some random chance you can actually cast a Grizzlebrand, right? Engineer Explosive, Duress, Expertate, Nihil Spellbomb, Bontu's Last Reckoning, Necromentia, Rotting Regisaur. Is that really necessary? What decks do you bring this in against? I don't know if that's so necessary. Navinral's Disc, Phyrexian Obliterator. This card I'm going to say no to. It's pretty cool, but there's just too many answers to this thing, and it's too slow. Like, you have no way of ramping into it. So if there's 2 cards I would take out, it would probably be the Phyrexian Obliterator. I love Phyrexian Obliterator. I think it's a really cool card. But the problem with this card is Goryo's Vengeance only reanimates legendary creatures. And we are playing with non-legendary creatures because that's how Unmarked Grave works. Unmarked Grave, search your library for a non-legendary card, put that card in your graveyard, then shuffle. That's the clause. So we actually can't use Goryo's Vengeance. Oops. So I'll tell you what, take out the Phyrexian Obliterator, put the Liliana Veils in the sideboard, so for the control matchups that you want to play against, you can get Liliana Veil in play, start taking it up, and you'll completely take over the game. You can only... Goryo's Vengeance only reanimates legendary creatures. So it doesn't work here. Not in this deck. Return target legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature gains haste. Exile at the beginning of the next end step. This is a really cool take on Reanimator. I think this is a really cool take on Reanimator, and the deck looks really clean so far. I bet it could clean up even more. Like, I don't know what the right number of Thoughtseize, Collective Brutality, and Fatal Push are, but maybe this is just as it is. I think it's a nice list. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, Persist is... Oh yeah, Persist is non-legendary as well. Return target non-legendary. So this is non-legendary Reanimator. Grizzlebrand is definitely... yeah, I've never seen 2 Grizzlebrands in play before. And that's why, it's legend. You're a legend, a Grizzlebrand. A living legend. Anyway, not too much feedback, but actually really cool list. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing, Black Lotus. Actually, it was a clean-looking list. It was really clean. But I want the Bone Shards in the deck, because you need... If you can't interact with people very early on in the game, then you're going to get stomped, and I really don't think Liliana the Veil is going to get the job done. My enter button doesn't work on Discord right now. KPLNGR. Congratulations, you are the next contestant on Decklist Review. We've got Lurrus 8-rack. All right, sweet idea. Starting to see some 8-rack decks pop up. We got Lurrus, Dark Confidant, which is not too bad. Vulnerable card, but you're not going to get dealt too much damage. Bloodchief's Thirst, Fatal Push, Inquisition, Raven's Crime, Thoughtseize, Smallpox, Wrench Mine, Mishra's Bauble, The Rack, Shrieking Affliction. That's interesting. You're choosing the Mishra's Factory over the Urza Saga, because Urza Saga... And truth be told, I don't know if it would work. Like, I really don't know. But Urza Saga can find your rack. So you basically have, like, 12 racks. So you have, like, it's very important for these 8-rack decks. They gotta win the game, and in a reasonable amount of time. I'd like to see more these 8-rack decks adopting Urza Saga, which I think is a very reasonable card to play in the deck. And with Urborg, you can tap it for black mana. So I think, and you know what, like, I think you're tapping out too often with Mishra's Factory. I would really just swap the Mishra's Factory with Urza Saga. I mean, unless someone can tell me that, like, they tested Urza Saga in 8-rack and it's just garbage and it just doesn't work, I'd like to see more of these 8-rack decks experiment with Urza Saga. Urza Saga works very well, and you can even jam in a single Shadow Spear for an alternate win con. Well, I don't know about we're not going to attack with creatures. You have no fetch lands, so I would play 4 Bloodchief's Thirst before I play 4 Fatal Pushes, in my opinion. Or sorry, before I play 3 Fatal Pushes. Got Inquisition of Kozilek, Thoughtseize. Shouldn't we be maxing out on these cards? I could be wrong. Also, I'm not really a fan of Smallpox. I guess it's okay, but I think you want your lands just as much as the opponent does. But the rest of this is fine. I think it's reasonable to have a Lurrus with Bauble. Just because it's pretty free, isn't it? This deck doesn't even run Ensnaring Bridge. Yeah, but why run Ensnaring Bridge when we can just kill our opponent? Ensnaring Bridge is, you know, I don't know, maybe in the main deck it's okay. I honestly don't believe in Ensnaring Bridge. Too many decks have just an answer to it, or they don't care. Saw some Ross tech with Funeral Charm for instant speed discard. Yeah, but that's back in the day. Today your instant speed interaction would be met with, like, okay, I'm just going to cast my instant speed card. Wrench Mind is a tough one with all the artifacts going around. That's actually true. You could end up wrench mining someone, and then they'd, like, discard Mishra's Bauble. So this one might be iffy. But you do need a good chunk of, like, discard spells, and this one can discard 2 cards. Like, you don't even need to play it immediately. You can play it, like, on turn 4 when your opponent only has 2 cards left in their hand, and it's very unlikely they have an artifact at that point. So I think you can still play Wrench Mine strategically. I would love to hear someone, Dothi Voidwalker. You know, it's either Dothi Voidwalker or Dark Confidant. I think you could go with either one. Dark Confidant to draw into more of this stuff is very reasonable to me. Like, the deck is not going to hurt you too much playing Dark Confidant. But Dothi Voidwalker does get in unblockable damage, and that in combination with your racks could be the difference between winning and losing. Dark Confidant will not get in any damage. It will do nothing. What about Karn the Great Creator? I love the idea of Karn the Great Creator, but this deck's playing Lurrus, so, and that's the name of the deck, Lurrus 8-rack. So we're not playing Karn the Great Creator. I think it's a great idea, though. But I would definitely... The biggest problem I think 8-rack decks have is they just can't deal enough damage fast enough. But if you were to have Urza Saga instead of Mishra's Factory, for sure you're going to have enough damage. For sure. For sure. And probably you should play, like, 1 less Urborg. This seems like a lot of Urborgs. I could be wrong about that. Maybe you need all of them. All the Urborgs to turn this into black mana. Any opinion on a silver-bordered World Tournament? I think that is a very cool idea, but they can't have any of, like, the BS cards that are really, really stupid. Smallpox plus Bob is a bit sus. Not really, because you go turn 2 Smallpox, then you play your Bob. You just play it at the right time. I mean, you could play Dark Confidant on turn 6 if you wanted to. After, like, for example, if to increase the chances of your Dark Confidant living, you would take the strategy of ripping out all your opponent's cards from their hand first, then when they're empty-handed, play the Dark Confidant, and then you can just run away with the game at that point. I mean, that's how I would literally play this deck. There's no way I would just run out Dark Confidant on turn 2 and hope it's going to draw me cards. No, I have to reduce my opponent's hand size to 0, then play the Dark Confidant. Now I know they don't have any removal, and then we start accumulating an advantage. Yeah, red splash for Croxa too. Well, people aren't ready for the 2-color 8-rack deck yet. No, gotta go 12 rack. 12 rack for the win. Smallpox is great, but there isn't synergy here to maximize it like Bloodghast or Flagstones. Well, there is synergy because you reduce the resources your opponent has. It's basically a card that you're going to slow their clock down by making them sack a creature and making them discard a card, and that's all you want. That's all you're really trying to do here. How about black-white for Flagstones? I would not splash for just Flagstones. It'd have to be a much heavier splash or a more meaningful splash for that. Grant says, here is why Mind Rake, better top deck, instead of 1 and a black, cost 1 and a black instead of black, so you can play Factory and Saga. Also can be cast for 3 if needed, or 1 and a black. Also run 4 Urborg as it can turn on push by playing the second Urborg. That's a pretty crappy way to activate your Fatal Push. Like I said, I'd rather have 4 Blood Chiefs Thirst than the Fatal Push. Mind Rake? What is Mind Rake? Oh, this is too expensive. 3 mana is too much in my opinion. Target player discards 2 cards. There's a lot of cards that do this. The reason why Wrench Mine is because it makes your opponent discard 2 cards for 2 mana. Like, there's a lot of cards that are 3 mana, make your opponent discard 2 cards. That's nothing special. You can also just play Bone Shards. I wouldn't play Bone Shards in this deck because you don't want to play stuff from your graveyard. Hard disagree. Okay, that's fine. You can disagree all you want. This is not a special card. Target player discards 2 cards for 3 mana. This is not a special. There's nothing special about this. And this is modern. You don't have time for this. The overload for, yeah. Are we gonna overload Mind Rake? Change attacks by replacing all instances of target with each. Each player discards 2 cards, so even we can discard the cards too. No, it's not even close. This is a mono black deck. You easily are going to have double black by turn 2. And if you even have Mishra's Factory, you're going to have Urborg a good chunk of the time. This is not debatable. Wrench Mine is infinitely better than Mind Rake. Yeah, it's a huge difference. That 1 mana is big. Mind Rake is the worst than the ones from Strixhaven that exile opponent's graveyard. As a rock player, I've got great uses out of the Tarashes in the sideboard. All right, maybe we can have some him to Tarash. Sorry, that Tarash guy. What got a pop up? What the hell popped up? Zoom is updating. No, don't you dare not update. Okay, hold on, Tarash. Like this definitely is within the synergy of the deck, right? So it can make your opponent discard cards. It's just a bit slow. I don't know what matchups you want this for. Also, instead of Mishra's Factory, can't we just use... No. I want to use Urza's Saga. We're going to play Urza's Saga instead of Mishra's Factory. I think Urza's Saga is way better. So, like, this is within the theme of the deck. The problem is I just don't know what matchups you want this for. I really have no idea. Grant, I don't know how to put this to you, but, like, 3 mana, make your opponent discard 2 cards is crap. It's just crap. There are so many cards that do that. they see no play whatsoever because 3 mana discard 2 is not good value. You'll be dead by turn 3 in a lot of cases. You gotta be more active earlier. You don't spend 3 mana though? How? Okay, hold on. So what am I missing with this? How do you spend less than 3 mana? I mean, you're spending 3 mana. Do you know how Overload works? Oh, you want to play... Oh, I see what you want to do. You want to play the Overload cost. You want to pay 2 and just discard your own cards. But in the late game... I don't understand how this is a good top deck. In the top deck, you have more mana anyway, because you're in, like, the late stage of the game, so you can just pay it for 3 mana. And also, you make yourself discard your cards. This would be good if we could use the graveyard, but we can't. We can't use our graveyard at all. Like, I'm not gonna play this early on in the game for two, and I'm also not gonna play it in the late game for 2. It doesn't change anything. Rack is not always Hellbent, especially in this version that's playing with Dark Confidant and Luris. They will be Hellbent though, but like late in the game you can play any discard spell late in the game. Late in the game they have 1 card in hand, so it doesn't change anything. Also late in the game you have 3 or 4 or 5 mana. So, like, the overload cost doesn't matter. So, anyway, it's not a good card. It's just not a good card. Okay, hold on. What do we have in the sideboard here? We have Surgical Extraction, Break the Ice, Collective Brutality, Feed the Swarm, Sorcerer's Spyglass, Bontu's Last Reckoning, and Delirium Skins. Each player discards 3 cards. I don't know which matchups you want this one for either, but it's closer to more playable. It's funny, this is actually just... you know what? On the same vein as Mind... Like, I don't know what the matchup is for this. I would rather this was just something else. I wouldn't play Funeral Charm, not in this meta. Too much instant speed stuff. Black for Duress that only hits artifacts is also bad. No. That's not how this card works. Its target player discards 2 cards. Unless they discard an artifact card, which then that means they only discard 1 card. But most of the time, they're going to discard 2 cards. Like... 85% of the time, you're hitting your opponent for 2 cards. And then 15% of the time, they'll discard an artifact. Like, it's bad versus, like, Hammer Time, but it's not just Hammer Time decks out there. That's not true. There's not lots of artifacts, and it's not like people will keep their Mox... what's it called? There's only Mishra's Bauble that's really consistent between all the decks. So here's your artifact deck. Only artifact is Mishra's Bauble, but that will be on the battlefield, like, easily, quickly. They might sandbag it, but then that hurts their synergy. No artifacts. No artifacts. No artifacts. Bauble in this one. Again, Bauble will be on the battlefield. They can sandbag it, but very unlikely. Maybe artifacts now because of the Dragon Rage Chandler. But only Bauble. So they have to sandbag their Bauble. I have no idea where we are now with this deck, but that will be my that will be all my suggestions. A lot of people are sending us 8-rack decks. Maybe one day we got to make our own 8-rack deck and make it work. If there's only one other theoretical thing I want to talk about is like we should probably be maxing out on Fatal Push and Bloodchief's Thirst. And maybe sacrifice... Well, I don't know. Maybe Smallpox is fine. But if Smallpox is not fine, then we should be maxing out on these things. Because we do have to slow the game down early on in the game in order to, like, get to the late game. Why Luris? Because it's free in this deck. It is free. Also, it's annoying. I wouldn't play 4X Factory. I would replace the Factory with Saga. I never really believed in Factory much in this deck anyway. Like, it's okay when your opponent's board is empty, but it's not always empty. So I would replace Factory with the Urza Saga and just see what happens. Maybe it's garbage, but I think it would happen. Also, Tournament with Thoughtseize, Discord, Blood Chief's Thirst is better than Push. Yeah, I think, well, yeah, I said more Blood Chief's Thirst, less Fatal Push. All right, that's it. Thank you very much, everyone, Coffee Crew, for all the suggestions. It was a great discussion. And we had a lot of fun today. So, as usual, if you want to check out the replay, go check it out at Nikachu MTG Streams. That's where you can find all my gameplay and replays to Coffee and MTG. If I didn't get to your comments, questions, or deck list, hey, we do this Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Be there or be square. If you would love to support the channel and you don't do so already, you can always drop a sub at twitch.tv/NikachuMTG. You could become a patron at patreon.com, or you can hit the join button on YouTube. So thank you very much, everyone, for showing up. We had a great discussion this morning. Had a lot of fun. Always a great way to start the morning with Magic. So keep brewing up that coffee, and we'll keep brewing up Magic. So take care of yourselves, and I